Asher, which is the most recent.
Okay.
And if you do you want the name of the other one now?
Yeah. Well, the specs on the both. So Asher is a male or a female?
Asher is a male.
Okay. Is he altered or no?
He just recently got altered before I got him from Texas. It's a guess, but they're thinking he's probably around 2 or 3.
Okay. All right. And how long have you had him?
We have had him about a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is Asher the name he came with? Because if not, I might need a photo of him.
No, actually, kind of yes, because the lady, he had been on the lam for about 2 months on the golf course where this lady lives, and when she saw him, she just named him Asher because he looks like a pile of ashes.
Oh, wow.
So that's the only name that he's known from her, and then I drove down to pick him up.
Wow. Okay.
Irish Wolfhound. He's gray and white, and he could have Briard.
Wow.
He's a stunner.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Wow. I would think it does have some Briard in him. You're right. I mean, not that you definitely know your breeds as well as I do. So, okay. Interesting. That's an old soul right there. Holy cow.
Yeah. That's kind of the first thing I said about him when I met him.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Thinks you're keeping him permanently because he said he came to be with you to help you with your work. I don't know if you want to do that or not, but he said that. And he said he likes a crowd of dogs. He's so you have a karmic tie with him. That I was kind of close to where you were. I just needed someone to help me get there. And he's also asking if he's already chipped, which maybe he is or not, but he wants to make sure he's permanently yours. So
thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
About all the different dogs coming and going. He goes, well, that's part of the reason I'm here. He said, he wants to be like an ambassador. So are you going to keep him or are you going to rehome him?
God and I have a deal. We've had this deal for a long time. It is it is up to them. They decide. No matter how much I love them, if I feel it is in his best interest, then he stays.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, because he's already unpacked and put his socks in the drawer, basically. So,
okay.
And didn't have a bad situation before he came to you. It was like some guy rode around with him. Well, he said, I was supposed to be given to the girlfriend. And so for about 2 or 3 weeks, I guess it was a birthday present or something, he rode around with this guy in a pickup truck. So he's very socialized. And then I think the guy really wanted him for himself, but made the excuse to give it to the girlfriend. Then when he gave it to the girlfriend for about a week, it worked out. And then she just I want something else. So he went back to riding around with this guy again. So he's used to being around golf courses, houses being built. I don't get that he's like a lawn maintenance kind of guy, but maybe he's like a handyman because there was all kinds of stuff in the truck and all that kind of, and he said they would go in and out through drive-thrus for food and all. I mean, he's had a lot of people food, especially chicken nuggets, which is gross, but he's had a lot of them. And so because I asked him if he realizes that this would be interim, and he goes, oh, no, I'm here for the duration. This is it now. I'm supposed to be here. And then he kind of winked at me. So he knows you from this lifetime. Now, you've obviously had a lot of dogs, so have I. I don't know who it is. At some point, you can say something to the effect of, all right, I'd like a dream, or maybe you give me an idea about who it is because they're not going to reveal it to me. But he's definitely, made a circle to come back to be with you again. Whether you have 10, 12, or whatever, he's like, I don't care. That's absolutely fine. You can do whatever you want to do. That's no worries. Okay. I asked him who his dog mom was. He said his dog mom was the Irish Wolfhound, but she was smaller. She wasn't a deer hound, but she wasn't as big as the big boys are. So just a smaller bitch when it came to that. And who the dad was, I guess it was probably Briard. I think you're pretty right on about that. And he goes, does it matter?
Nope.
No. And on the one hand, so he did say to me he was with you back in L.A., whenever that was. And he said, he's aware of what's happening there. And he said, I would have made a good movie dog. I don't know if you ever did any animal wrangling when you were back there, but he said, I would have made a good movie dog. But now they're not even doing that, So he said, so now I can work in a different way. But he's pretty much asking for raw food. So are you doing that with, all the ones that you have? Is it easier just to do kibble or what's your food
now that you
situation?
say that, though, what we can do is switch him to a much more pure form. The raw itself, like raw, is going to be really hard with 10.
Right.
But what we can do is do a dehydrated or freeze-dried for sure.
Yeah, like Still and Chewy.
Exactly.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
we do Stell and Chewy's as well.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, because he's asking for that.
Okay, perfect.
So that's, he's farsighted. He sees really well at a distance. So if it's somebody new, that's why he'll take a step or two back to get them in his view, kind of thing. And he said a couple of the other dogs have picked up on that, and so he said if they need me, I'm there. And he kept saying he was worried about a little one. So I said, well, give me an idea what it looked like. It might be like a Chihuahua mix. I don't know if this is with you or before you, but he said it really couldn't hear very well, it couldn't see very well, and I was trying to help it out. So is that any of the ones you have right now since he's been there?
No, this would have been one of my other
it might have been
a long time ago.
When he knew you before.
Yes.
Because he said he didn't want to say feeble because he said it would have got very mad at him. So I said, well, is it in body now? And he goes, oh, no. So I guess it was before.
Okay.
Before you moved. And he said it was there temporarily. And he called him the old man. So he kind of looked out for that other dog. Okay. So he keeps saying, I know my commands, like sit down. I was like, oh, okay. He announced that. He said in the picture, the dog behind him also thinks it's staying. Is he or she staying as well?
Oh, yes. Rufus is one of my soul mutts for sure.
Okay. Because he said that's why he was glad to be in the picture with him. And he said a lot of times, well, at least he said in the beginning, he would check in with him every day and ask him if he could stay. And finally, Rufus is like, okay, you can stay. Just quit asking me.
That sounds like it. Yep, they are absolutely best buds.
Yeah, good. Okay. And slowly, Rufus is like kind of giving him you take half the day, I'm going to take a nap kind of thing.
Yep.
So
give
him the reins. Okay. So what kind of things would you like to ask him now hearing all that? Anything else you want to add?
Yes. He has if you can see his eye, that one eye, it looks like a little droopy. Was that from an accident, a hit, or genetic?
Not genetics. It felt like he said it was my doing trauma. At some point he said somebody was trying to really go after him, not when he was on the golf course, and he was down a residential street, and he said he was going to nip into somebody's garage, and when he did, the garage started coming down, and the person realized he was there and kind of shushed him out. So he kind of banged the side of his face.
Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it.
It's not painful now. It did tear up quite a bit, but he said it's not painful now.
Lydia, so. I knew it. I said, I'll bet you anything he got spooked and turned and whacked it.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
It's really well at a distance, but up close everything would be blurry. So, but it's not painful now. When I look, I will do a body scan in a minute, but when I look through his eyes right now, his peripheral vision is just very slightly compromised.
That makes perfect sense because he's really spooked, and he cannot stand, like, if you just put a slip lead on him just to move him from place to place, like in the house or whatever, he can't stand it. So I wanted to know if maybe he was ever caught with a catch pole.
Oh, okay. I think they were trying to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he, on a karmic level, knew what it was about.
Okay.
And he wasn't trusting whoever it was. It was not an animal control thing, but he just knew what it was about. Okay, so you probably know about EFT or tapping, right?
I do.
Okay, so I think that would really help him because that's the first time he kind of is like, well, I'm embarrassed. I don't know why I'm so. I said, well, you have every right to be worried about that. It's not an unfounded fear. And so I think you can help them with that. Okay, so when I do it, I always ask their permission. I would never do it without their permission. And so I do it from the tip of their nose to their tail. And, you know this because you're a professional, but when you're behind them, your right is their right, your left is their left. That's veterinarian's terms. And the second thing I have to say as a disclaimer is I'm not a vet. I was a vet tech for 18 years and worked at the first cat hospital in New York City and 8 clinics in between, and the first clinic in Burbank that was holistic. So
nice.
Disclaimer. So, okay. All right. So I officially asked him to step in, and the first one was like, come on in. Like, it never bothered. He's like, I'm good with this. I said, okay. Oh, he said maybe he knew me another time. I said, maybe so. Maybe I talked to him before. Okay, because he's like, I'm very familiar with this process. I said, okay. All right. So again, I asked him about his eyesight. So farsighted, a little bit off on the peripheral. It's not. He has for the longest time hasn't had a headache, so that's really good. It's just something he's become accustomed to. His hearing is really good, which normally farsighted animals don't have to lean on that because their eyesight's so good. But he also has very good hearing. He also, when that whole incident happened, he really kind of wrenched his neck a bit. So there's still a little bit of stiffness there occasionally. And once in a while, he said he'll go under your hand to kind of get a massage, that kind of stuff if it's a little bit out of balance.
Yep. He loves my husband like he's attached to him.
And when it first happened, not only at the injury place, but he had some pins and needles in his toes on that foot, because it radiated down from his scapula down his foot and all that. But he said, I haven't had that in a while. So
good.
So if you ever see him put his foot down and then kind of pick it up quick, like he walked in water, but there's no water, that's like that pins and needles thing. Once in a while, he'll reactivate that.
Okay.
His heart is a little bit bigger. It's not it's not an enlarged heart in a negative way. He just has a heart that's a little bit bigger. So the Secretariat did too when they euthanized him. So when I scanned his heart, I was like, oh, that's interesting. His lungs are okay. I checked his liver. It was a little out of balance. It's not now. I don't know if you normally give your dogs sweet potato or yams, things like that. That's
all the time.
Good for that. Good.